Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Sunshine Show. As a lot of you probably know, this is brought to you every Sunday morning by 4 YouTuber friends. There's myself, there's Busy Bee Marie, who lives in Las Vegas, Karen from Geordie Grandma, and Maria Crocker. We've been probably doing this for about 2 years now, and we get together once a week and always discuss the same topic but put our own spin on it. A lot of the time, sometimes we might even do the same things and we don't know because we don't discuss it with anyone. We don't discuss it with one another before we very rarely before we do the video. So it's a surprise to us when we see our friends' videos. So when you've watched this video, pop across to their channels. I'll link them in the description box and see what they're doing. Now, this week's video is very, very different because we thought we'd do like a potluck where we'd all just talk about something different, which we don't do normally. Normally, we all have the same topic, even though we put our own spin on it. But this week, we just thought we'd do something different and we'd all have our own topic. So mine is going to be one of my favourite topics, and it's musicals. I love musicals. I love going to musicals. It's something that my daughter and myself really share and love. And if we go to London or to Manchester, it would be normally to see a musical or a show, but mainly musicals. There's lots and lots of different musicals that I love. I've been, when it was my 40th birthday, my daughter booked Hamilton in London and paid for us to go and stay in London and go and see Hamilton. And while we were out, now we always do this, we would rather than go out for a nice meal, see if we can get a cheap ticket to another musical, because sometimes you can get what they call day tickets. And some of the theatres do lotteries now, where if you just turn up on the day, well, they used to be £10, but I'm sure they're more than that now. We haven't managed to get them the last couple of times we've gone. But you can get these. I mean, sometimes we wouldn't be sat together, but we don't care when the lights go down. What difference does it make? You know, you still see the show. Because really, I do think musicals and shows, they're becoming very elitist because they're so expensive nowadays. Really, really expensive. I know my daughter, we recently went to London. She wanted to see this musical called Next to Normal, and it was finishing. So we went down. We just went down for the day, actually. Normally we would stay over, but it just gets so expensive. You know, hotels in London are so expensive. So we went down on the 6:30 train in the morning, got to London about 9 o'clock. So we just had breakfast at Euston Station. And we went to the Sky Garden. I don't know whether I put anything on. If I can find a picture of the Sky Garden, I'll put a picture on. This is the Sky Garden. It's free to go in, and you get amazing views over London. Can you see? Absolutely amazing views. You can go in earlier and pay £10 and you get a coffee included with that. That's actually what we did because we didn't want to have to queue up, and you can go straight in and you get a nice coffee included. I was going to do a video on it, but I lost some of the footage as usual. I've probably deleted it when they said my storage is full, which happens a lot. But we went to the afternoon performance of Next to Normal, and then went back on the train in the evening. It was a long day, but well worth it. It was an unusual topic. It was somebody, I think she was bipolar, but it was very, very good. Haley wanted to see it anyway. So I've written down some like must-see musicals if you've never been to a musical. I mean, obviously you're going to say Les Mis, because Les Miserables is an amazing musical. I've seen it a few times and it is amazing. But I also love Miss Saigon. Miss Saigon, oh, it's beautiful. I've seen that a few times. I'm very lucky, really, but that's how we would spend our leisure time, you know. We travelled to Liverpool once to see Miss Saigon. And then I loved Hamilton and I love Phantom of the Opera. Phantom of the Opera is absolutely beautiful. I always remember years and years ago, when it very, very first came out, we went to London and I really wanted to see Phantom of the Opera. And my husband tried to get tickets, but they were just so expensive. I mean, ridiculously expensive, because it was the musical that everybody went to see. So he bought me the, well, it wasn't a CD, it was a tape in those days. But I used to listen to it over and over again. The music was so beautiful. We did get to see it eventually. And then one of the first musicals I ever saw was Hair. I don't really remember Hair. We saw that in London, and Bob bought, my husband, he bought some tickets off a ticket tout, which I would never do now, but he did. And we did get to see it. And I've got the programme, I should have found it out for you. And do you know, Elaine Page was in the chorus. Can't believe it. But I mean, I'm talking about, 50 years ago. Easily 50 years ago. More than 50 years ago. But some of the must-see musicals. Now, are those what I listed? Les Mis, Miss Saigon, Hamilton, which... Now, Hamilton might not be to everybody's taste. I enjoyed it. And Phantom of the Opera. Now, if you ask me what my favourite musical would be, I couldn't tell you, because there's so many different genres of musicals. Because a feel-good musical, now I love Me and My Girl. Crazy for You, I have a soft spot for that because my daughter played the lead in it twice. And Legally Blonde. Now, they're all feel-good musicals. And Wicked. Now, Wicked's a lovely one. And if you were taking a child to see a musical, I think it's a good one to take them to see. It's a feast for the eyes, Wicked. You know, it really is. My little nephew loves going to musicals. And I'd love to take him to Wicked. But the tickets are just so expensive. Now, when we went to London for my birthday, we booked 2 other shows, really like last minute type of things. And one was Waitress. I can't really remember much about that, so it wasn't memorable to me, although I know it was very popular. It isn't one that I would recommend because, as I say, I can't remember much about it. But there was one. Now, when we were at the train station, it was really funny because the guy there's a man that owns like a little kiosk, like a cafe thing, kiosk at the station, and he's very into musicals. And when we were going, he said, "Oh, have you seen this musical called Come From Away?" He said, a lot of people have been in and said it's really good. And I do think this is going on tour, so it's one not to miss if you can. So anyway, on the train, my daughter booked these tickets for it. She managed to get some tickets for about £40, which is cheap, believe you me. So anyway, we got these tickets for this Come From Away, and I had no idea what it was about. Honestly, it was amazing. I think there's only maybe about 12 actors. It's a musical, and it's about, now I didn't know, it's a true story. And it's about 9/11. Well, apparently on 9/11, there was lots of planes in the air, and they had to divert them because they didn't know what was happening. And this is a true story, and it's about this plane that had to land in Gander, which is, a very small place apparently. And they didn't know what to do with all these people because these planes had landed in Gander, and they didn't know what to do with them all because they hadn't got the facilities for them. They didn't know what was happening because, if you remember, the planes weren't flying for a while. So it ended up that all the local people took these people in, and it's a true story, and it's lovely. It's really nice, and it's really slick how they did it, how they... there was very little stage props or anything like that. They just all sat on chairs, and that was a plane, and then they moved them round. And these people looked after them in Gander, which is a true story. And at the end of it, what they did, all these people that had been put up by these people in Gander, it was like a scholarship for a university that they funded for some people from Gander to go to a university. And that's a true story. It was really, really good because they didn't have enough food, so they were like having to all pool the food together to feed all these planes that had landed. Then the people that were on the plane, some of them had got relatives on other planes and they didn't know whether they were alive or dead. It was amazing. So that's called Come From Away, and I do believe it's going on tour. So if you get a chance to see it, I would see that. You see, I'm going off at a tangent because I love musicals so much. I wish I could sing, I can't. Now, other musicals I've got down here. You see, I've got Come From Away as a surprise musical because I had never heard of it and I loved it. Mamma Mia. Well, I'm not a big jukebox musical fan, so it was all right. I've seen the movie, I like the movie. I mean, a lot of people love Mamma Mia. It's not one that's... I'm not into jukebox musicals, really. I like something a bit more meaty. But it's a nice one to go and see if you don't like heavy musicals and that. You know, Les Mis might be a bit too much for you. But it wouldn't be my cup of tea. Now, I've put down here as well, musicals to take children to. Now, because it's nice to take them, isn't it? I mean, when I was little, my great-granddad always used to take me to the pantomime. In Yorkshire, the pantomimes used to come every few weeks at the theatre there in Halifax. And my great-granddad always used to take me, and I loved it. It's good memories of it, you know. Always wanting to get called on the stage for the sixpence, and I never did. Do you remember they used to give you sixpence? And so I loved going with him. And that's sort of my early memories of going to the theatre. Then I didn't go, you know, we could never afford as children, and, you know, I don't think anybody else in my family was interested, really. But as we've grown older, as you know, I've really, really enjoyed them. And another, I've gone off at a tangent again now. Ones to take children to, well, obviously a pantomime. A pantomime is lovely to take children to introduce them to the theatre. And of course, there's Shrek, Wicked. I love Wicked, but it's good for adults too, you know. So there's so many, isn't there? Blood Brothers is another good one. Shrek is good for children. Oh, Blood Brothers isn't really for children, I'm digressing. But Shrek's very good for children. And that other one, I can't think what it's called now, with Anna in. You'll know what I mean. Frozen's very good. Actually, last time we went to London, we tried to get cheap tickets for a musical in an afternoon, and we managed to get them for Frozen, and it was very good. I did enjoy it. It was really good. We would have gone to any musical that we could get cheap tickets for, but that was really, really good. I mean, other musicals I've enjoyed. I love Sunset Boulevard. And one that I really loved, but it didn't last very long. It had a bit of a bad luck story, I think. I think when it launched in New York on Broadway, I don't know what happened, but it closed quite early. And then it was in London. It was called Woman in White. But I loved it. I really, really liked it. But I don't know whether they'll ever resurrect that again. That was good. But the best one to take a child to see, and it's on at the moment currently, is Starlight Express. That used to be, if I had a favourite musical that was a fun musical, it would be Starlight Express. I loved it. And it's a really good story. It's a lovely story for children. I do believe they've changed it now. My daughter said she didn't think I'd enjoy it as much. But it starts with somebody reading a child a story about trains. And then you see the story come to life, and it's all, they're all on roller skates, and they're all the carriages of the trains. And there's like, well, you see, they won't have the smoking carriage now. There was a smoking carriage, and there was Pearl, who was first class carriage. And then there's all the other carriages, and it's a race. And they used to go right round the theatre. It was brilliant, right round the theatre. And it was a race from between the steam train, Rusty, who was the steam engine, and Electra, who was the baddie, and he was the new electric engine. And it was a race, and it was a bit like the tortoise and the hare, you know. But the music's beautiful, and it's a lovely I love, and when I went, I mean, I don't know that it's the same now, because I know Hayley said they have changed it a bit, because obviously they can't have a smoking carriage now and other things. There's other things in it that they can't have now. But it was, they used to beforehand get like half the audience to support Electra, which was the electric train, and the other half of the audience to support Rusty. You all want to support Rusty because Rusty's lovely and he's in love with Pearl, who Pearl is a first class carriage. And of course Electra wants Pearl as well. So it's a lovely, lovely story, but brilliant for children to see. So if you get a chance to go and see that, I think the tickets are, although somebody told me that they went on some sort of discount website, I don't know which, and got tickets for £40. £40, you know, like if you have to take a family, it's a lot of money, isn't it? I mean, another good way of seeing musicals and shows is when they broadcast them to the cinema. I've done that a few times and it is really good. So it's worth thinking about, because you get it like, well, less than half the price. And you're still seeing the same thing, aren't you? Anyway, I've gone on, I've prattled on far too long on this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's my passion. I love musicals. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to me prattling on about them. So what I want you to do now is go across to the other Housewives channels. That's Busy Bee Marie, Maria Crocker and Karen from Geordie Grandma, and see what topic they've covered this week. It's a surprise topic this week. So thank you so much for watching. And if I don't see you before, I'll see you next Sunday on the next Sunday Sunshine Show. Bye.